Welcome back to our city. For the second half of this show, I'm pleased to be joined by Miss Jennifer Costa, Miss Lauren Ferrigno, and Gordon Haas. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
So tell us what Elizabeth Destination Marketing Organization is first, Jennifer, as the director of the organization.
Sure. We are the new tourism office for the city, and we're providing all marketing collateral to try and promote the city for us.
And Lauren, what's your role with the organization?
I'm the marketing coordinator.
And you get out there and talk with people?
Well, I'm starting to get out there and talk to people more now that the infrastructure's built. We had to create a website, a mobile app, and a place for really people to go to collect the information that I'm going to go meeting with business owners and restaurant owners to talk about for them to be a part of it.
Now, Jennifer, you grew up here?
Actually, I moved to the city in 2003 and never left. Never left.
Sounds
Fell
like it's
in
been
love.
there for a long time. So, tourism in the city of Elizabeth.
Yes.
What makes you think that tourism is so important to the city of Elizabeth?
Because our city truly has all the elements that are needed to make a great destination. We have phenomenal cultural cuisine. We have great, dependable and name brand hotels. We have shopping opportunities with our mills at Jersey Gardens, as well as local partnerships in town with different retail. We have our historical elements. Elizabeth has tremendous amounts of American Revolutionary history and great museums that people don't know about. So between history and dining, and we have trending nightlife as well, something that's very up and coming where you can get that New York City feel without leaving Jersey.
So Lauren, as the youngest person on this panel, tell us, your mother grew up here in Elizabeth. Your grandmother still lives here.
She is.
So tell us from your perspective, as a younger person who didn't grow up here, but whose parent and grandparents did.
I grew up right a couple miles down the road.
I know, but
we
still.
can say I grew up in Elizabeth.
Tell us about growing up outside of the city, but reflecting on your mother and grandmother who grew up here, based on what Jennifer just said on the opportunities to create Elizabeth as a tourism.
Well, I completely agree with everything Jen said. I mean, growing up basically in Elizabeth with my mom and my grandmother, we would go out to all the different restaurants that are in the city, and you know, it really is like traveling the world without leaving Elizabeth. I mean, all the different cultural cuisine places that there are, like we would go and we would experience all the different ones growing up. And now that I'm a little bit older, I can experience.
You say that with gritted teeth, Lauren.
Well, now that I'm a little bit older, I can experience, you know, everything else that the city has to offer. And, you know, being in that millennial age group, I would definitely see why people would want to come here and experience what we have to offer with the nightlife that's going on and the new things that are coming, and you know, the educational aspect of it with the historical venues and the authenticity of them, rather than going to, say, Boston or Virginia where it's replicas. You know, it's actual history that you can feel and you can kind of walk through and walk among it. So I mean, there's a lot of...
Those people in Boston aren't going to be appreciating and saying they're replicas.
Well, they're Patriots fans, so you know what?
So, Jennifer, Lauren talked about a lot of work that was necessary on the infrastructure.
Correct.
And now that that's in place, what's next for Elizabeth Destination Marketing?
What's next? Well, more of a local impact. We're running a monthly restaurant week, and we're trying to brand ourselves across the state to be known for our diverse ethnic cultural cuisine. And aside from our Restaurant Week, we are up and coming and starting to really market ourselves outside the state. We're promoting and we're going cross country at different trade shows, promoting the city of Elizabeth using our different marketing collateral pieces, as well as our new Elizabeth Now magazine, to really show everyone outside what we have to offer and how we are history's best kept secret and how we have great shopping. And so it won't be long before we start seeing tour groups coming through and using us as the alternative location to New York City hotels.
So as we're reaching out, as a marketing person, Lauren, how are we reaching out to potential visitors?
We have a lot of cool things that we're doing.
Definitely out of the box.
Yeah. For example, I would say one of the newest things is we're doing something called geofencing, and this is something that's geofencing. So for example, when...
Sounds like a couple of guys with swords or something.
You would think it's a lot cooler than that, though. Would say you're going to Jersey Gardens Mall. You're walking through the mall, you're staying in New York City, you know, you pull up something, you're waiting for your wife in the store, you're sitting there, you're looking at your phone, playing on an app. Well, up comes Elizabeth, and we are marketing to you specifically via your IP address. And everybody in that mall, when they go onto certain apps, there's maybe 200 or so apps that are incorporated with this program. So what that does is it leads us to market to you to stay in our hotels while you're shopping at the mall to receive exclusive deals. So we're targeting people in specific areas now. So we're actually pinpointing on the travelers coming in and where they're going once they're here and having them stay. Or
So this is better than Facebook or Twitter.
Oh,
because it's just
absolutely.
getting right to the person.
yeah.
Absolutely. We're geofencing the hotels, and in the hotels, so when people are in the lobby doing work or checking out Pandora or looking at Facebook, anything, ads are popping up on their phones that are saying, click here for cultural cuisine nearby. And you open that up, and that'll open up all of our restaurants that are partnering with us.
It's a new technology that we saw, Jenna and I saw at a convention earlier this year, fell in love with it immediately. I mean, one of the things we plan to do when she travels to a show is geofence the convention center and say to everybody in that convention center, have you stopped and seen Elizabeth yet? So it's a way to target people in a selected area, and that's what the geofence is. It's a fence around a specific geography, and it's really cool.
So aside from the geofencing, we are marketing internationally through TripAdvisor. We're now promoting in Ireland, Brazil, Germany, Canada. So we have marketing ads online through TripAdvisor. We're marketing through the state of New Jersey and New Jersey Monthly. We are also, again, through these different trade shows.
So Lauren, how do you tell the feedback from the geofencing if people are actually watching? Is there a mechanism to do that?
Yeah, what we do is we created different landing pages on our website. So we can track how many people are coming to visit these pages via Google Analytics. So when people are clicking from our ads to our websites, we're automatically tracking them, and we're tracking their IP addresses in order to, invite them back in the future. So we're able to see how many people are actually coming to our pages, and then also we're able to see how many people are leaving our site in order to go and book their stay at the hotels. So it's kind of a tiered system of how deep we can go with
So
the
is that
analytics.
since it's new technology, you hope to see growth in this category?
100%. I mean, we started this specific program in the middle of January, and we've seen some great numbers so far. So absolutely, I can only see this
Percentages of
growing.
people that are staying on our site for the
Yeah.
entire presentation is much higher than it is with some of the other things we've done.
And we're driving about 10 to 13,000 visitors a month to our site. And we have a City of Elizabeth mobile app, and we have about 1,000 on average reoccurring users that are going through the mobile app on the cell phones as well. So we're definitely seeing consistency and growth.
So how do you get tourists to do something? They're going on the app, they look at it. How do you get them to follow through on some of the things that they're seeing on the app?
There are dates, times, places. It's direct through their GPS. They can go directly to the events, to the locations, to the restaurants. I mean, we're seeing and we're hearing from our restaurant owners. A quick example is through the new kiosk that we have at Jersey Gardens Mall. Through the kiosk, someone was shopping, staying in our hotels from Hawaii, and they were sitting in First Republic restaurant for lunch one afternoon, when normally they probably would have never left the food court. So it's something where we're hearing stories and feedback from our local customers and our local restaurants and owners. So we know it's starting.
So Lauren, you talked about Restaurant Week earlier, and how did that go? I mean, in winter, is it more difficult than, say, spring or summer?
I wouldn't say it's more difficult. I would say it's a different animal in itself. Comparing winter with spring and with summer, because spring and summer comes, we have the opportunity for outdoor dining. More venues to be a part of it. This Restaurant Week, February 1st to February 7th, was our first ever Restaurant Week, really launching it. And from my analytics, what I saw was tremendous downloads of the specialized menus that each of the participating restaurants had. So I've talked to people who've gone there. I've talked to the restaurants themselves. They've seen business on a Tuesday and Wednesday night that they normally wouldn't have seen. So for the first week, going into Restaurant Week, I think that it was an overall success for the first time. And you know, it's a new system. We're still working on it, and every single month there's going to be different things to offer, new ways of getting the word out, new restaurants wanting to be involved, outdoor dining for, you know, weather that permits it, and it's going to be fun as it goes on.
So outdoor dining in Elizabeth, we need to encourage more of that.
Absolutely.
I mean, we had
absolutely.
some, and some's taking off. But
We've been working closely with the health department and Director Krishna and trying to push our local restaurants for the outdoor dining experience as soon as the weather breaks. In addition to that, we've partnered with the arts community and the Elizabeth Avenue Partnership, as well as the Snyder Academy, because we want to be able to have outdoor productions, be it small or large, to help with entertaining as guests are sitting outdoors.
so the prime examples to do more outdoor would be, would you think Morris Avenue, Broad Street, any of those restaurants? Anybody, right?
You got it. Any and everyone, we want to welcome them outside.
Well, the city's made it more easy for the restaurants to do that. In the past, there were restrictions. The city passed new ordinances that allow them, and we're pushing very hard for them to be
Jump on
there,
board.
to jump on board.
So maybe we should have a outdoor dining as one of those business after hours events some point on the street or something.
That would be
We've
fantastic.
done
That's a
we've
great
done
idea.
some of those in the past at various outdoor venues within the restaurants, so that hopefully we can do it. To go back on that, we schedule the business after hours for the entire year, so we're going to try to see if some of those venues that we've scheduled for the rest of the year will allow us to go outside. Yeah.
So if you had to pick something that is going to be extremely exciting, Lauren and Jennifer, what do you think? If you had a crystal ball, what would you think is the most exciting thing you think could happen?
The new visitor center coming to Midtown and having a trolley in Midtown that'll unite all of our local restaurants and historical sites on a looping on a looping path to and from the hotels. So that's where we foresee the vision going in the very near future, and we're working very hard toward it.
And your analytics, what would you think are the
We're only going to get stronger, and we're only going to get better, and we're only going to get a clearer picture of who's looking at us and who's traveling to us. So that way we're able to really capitalize and give the people what they want, essentially.
And Gordon, as a guy who grew up marketing with phones, what do you think is going to happen?
It's unbelievable. I mean, this technology is really frightening in some respects, but it's really a lot of fun. And the girls will tell you that I'm very strong on new ideas, and
Yes.
this is exciting. One statistic that we've seen is in the past year, the revenues of our hotels have gone up over 6%. I can't guarantee that we did all of it, but if we did a small part of it, we think we've accomplished a great deal.
Jennifer, Lauren, I want to thank you for taking the time to join us on the show in the
Thank
second
you,
half.
Mr.
Gordon,
Mayor.
thanks for the first half and the second half, and appreciate all your work in bringing business and attractions to
Thank
the
you
city
for
of
your
Elizabeth.
support,
Yep.
Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For Yasmin Fitcher on the first part of the show, and Gordon Haas as the executive director, Miss Jennifer Coster and Miss Lauren Ferrigno, I thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week on another edition of Our City.